Peace, sisters. Happy to be here. Happy to run the show. We've been catching it. We've certainly been catching it with the show that we did concerning our sister, Dr. Ava Muhammad. So we've been catching a lot of flack toward that show. And I've been busy trying to keep my head above water. Tonight, we'll be talking about a black nationalist army. A black nationalist army. We'll be talking about that tonight. And we'll still be talking about black nationalism. And we'll still be discussing the best course of action for black people. We got to have, brothers and sisters, a course of action that will safeguard our community. That's what you and I have to have. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. The white man is killing us, is killing us, is killing us, is killing us every day, every week of our lives. And we have no alternative than to return a decent action, right? That will match his aggression. Isn't that right? So, brothers and sisters, I'm not violent. Regardless of what you hear, I'm not violent. The man will tell you that I'm violent, but I'm not. The man, you have to understand the cruel trick that the white man is playing on you. You have to understand it. Because here you and I are on a plantation. We're on a plantation, you and I. That's what we're on. We've been on the plantation. And here the man is that put you on the plantation without a good reason. He don't even have a justified reason. He tried to create the study of eugenics or racism to talk about a system of inferiority. He doesn't have a legitimate reason to put you and I in bondage. Doesn't have a legitimate reason. But put you in bondage and put you under the stress of his institutions in bondage. And this same man, the minute you holler or you yell because the man is sticking you and branding you, because he's shooting you, right? Because he's lynching you, then he want to also punish you and judge you for hollering, right? For hollering. He want to punish and judge you for yelling and screaming. And the man is putting a knife in your back and your side, beating you all upside your head, shooting you all in your body. And the man wants to complain that you're repeating phrases in discomfort. And all you got to do is just wrap your mind around what's going on. I mean, civilized people, brothers and sisters, civilized people with intelligence will respond when they're being attacked by mob action. Attacked by animals and devils, demons, demonic forces. Intelligent people will respond if you're intelligent. Now, and I'm going to challenge that because unintelligent people won't respond. Unintelligent people are constantly pushing this narrative of peace, long-suffering, brotherhood, and all of that. Unintelligent people would push that, not intelligent people. And it's important that you will know. So you know how we do. We got to build a foundation for what's going on. Because the fact of the matter is that the white man is killing us, is killing us, is killing us. And brothers and sisters, if you're not ready to defend yourself, it's not going to matter one jot or one tittle what the devil is doing. If you're not ready to defend yourself. I know a lot of y'all think you have friends in the white community. And the truth of the matter is that the white man is complicit in everything that he does. He's complicit in it. So you'll never find, brothers and sisters, you'll never find a white man to go against another white man in this day and time. That time is past. See, because when you failed to fight for yourself, your own self, in slavery, when there were white people, more of them that would stand up, against injustice, if not America. May not have stood up against America, but they would stand up against injustice. You had one man, John Brown, who stood up to fight. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. He fought the administration that was pushing the narrative of superiority and inferiority, the narrative of slavery. This singular white man, only one that I know of in history that has truly stood up and grabbed a gun and started shooting white people, because he said that's the only way that you will avoid the ultimate war that they'll be fighting to keep America enslaved or keep it free. And that's what you and I are doing even today. Civil War wasn't the last war. While you had more educated or more scholarly Civil War during the Civil Rights Movement. This is why it's called Civil Rights, the War for Civil Rights. When Martin Luther King is marching, they're talking about civil rights. They're fighting for civil rights. Is that right or wrong? So you're still fighting for civil rights today. Still fighting for it. So you had the march in 1963. I believe it was April the 23rd, 1963. Then Farrakhan came in October of 1995 and did the Million Man March, which said justice or else. Nothing but a civil rights movement with a Muslim blanket over it. That's all it was. And we'd already learned through Brother Malcolm. We'd already learned through Brother Cleave. Isn't that right? We already learned through those brothers. We'd already learned that the March on Washington was nothing but a farce on Washington. We already learned it. The enemy took the march of the 40s that came through Bed Ruston. I have to give you the history on it because I want you to know. I have to have the history. History is very, very important. Our people will skim read through everything and not really study to show ourselves approved unto God. We'll skim to everything. But what I want you to know, and what's important today, if you don't get anything else I say, is that they've been using the same program to keep you trapped and tripped up the entire time. The very same program. Look, in 1756, right, they talked about this moral conflict they was having over the isn't that right? How the Constitution was raised to liberate a country, and they had to at the same time justify slavery, right? You go all the way from that time, you go to October 10th of 1995, you'll find the Million Man March. You find it, the Million Man March, right? Right? Now you look at, and I'm gonna give you this because I know a lot of people don't research. I mean, they won't do it. Black people are easily emotional, and that's the problem that you and I have. That we are easily emotional. We haven't to this date, we haven't learned better than to stop, to concentrate, and to galvanize our strengths and our ability to research whenever something comes against us unexpected. We won't question it. We'll believe it, and the first thing we do, we'll run for it. And we've been doing this ever since these invaders have come among us. I'm talking about come among the global black man. Because everywhere there's a global black man, there's been slavery. There's been an enterprise of oppression to bring money to the white man. Because nowhere in the world did the white man know how to survive. You have to understand that. And he was all over. He hid himself in the ground that was familiar with him, right? The caves of Europe, the caves of Eurasia, the caves of India, the caves of Africa, the caves of Japan, the caves of China. Everywhere that was caves, the caves of South Carolina, right? The caves of North Carolina. I want you to understand this. You got to understand it. That these people, they were called in America, they were called mountaineers or hillbillies. Where did they live? In the hills, right? In the side of rocks, in the hills. Still cave people. Still the cave people, right? Still the cave people. You had the hillbilly families fighting against each other for pieces of land. They were living in the mountains in houses built in rock. You have to understand this. In 1775, I believe it was, and quote me on this. This is a strong date. Because I want you to understand this. That they were fighting then for their own liberation. Now, I want you to understand this. Something called the Ton Tavern. This is the white man. This is the white man, the one that tell you and me, right? Don't be concerned about these white people killing you. Don't be concerned about your liberation, because eventually you're going to get it. It's different now than it was in the past. Oh, we see things getting together. All we got to do is pray and wait. Would you believe, brothers and sisters, that they had this? The tavern was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right? I'm just letting you know. The Ton Tavern. See, you got to study. Because if you don't study, you won't get it. Ton Tavern was a brewery in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I just want to tell you this, and we're going to get on toward our lesson, because I want you to understand that the foundation has to be set. If you don't set a foundation, you'll never get a word out. You won't get it. I'm just trying to show you that these devils have been using the same trick. And even when they fight, they have you to fight their wars for their liberties, right? But the minute you start fighting for yours, right, they'll tell you that you're in transgression to the Constitution. Why? How can you, as a citizen, be in transgression to the Constitution? This is what you should be asking yourself. You should be asking yourself this. In the brewery in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which was a founding and early meeting place for a number of notable groups, right? Notable white groups. Understand this. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. Notable white groups. It's traditionally regarded by the white man as a site where the United States Marine Corps held its first recruitment drive for the American Revolution. I said the American Revolution and Marine Corps. Okay? Just letting you know. It's regarded as the birthplace of the white Masonic teachings in America. White Masonic teachings in America. Now, this tavern, I want you to understand this, because we're going to give dates now. This tavern was erected at the intersection of King, right, which was called Water, King Street, and Ton Alley, right? Thus, the Ton Tavern, King and Ton's Alley. We're talking about Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right? By settler Joshua Carpenter, and you know this other one, Samuel Carpenter, right? These were Quakers, Quaker merchants. who made a fortune trading in Barbados. All right. Now, I hope you're getting this. Trading. Made a fortune trading. Trading what? Trading what? What were they trading in Barbados? And how were they getting the stuff that they were trading? And what were they getting in the trade? Just want to ask you a question. So, Joshua Carpenter built this ton on the carriage that led to Carpenter's Wharf. This is the waterway. Ton Tavern was the name of an English word meaning a barrel, right? Or a keg of beer, right? That's what it is. A beer tavern. A ton. A barrel or a keg of beer. In the 1740s, a restaurant consumed, or appellation, right? It consumed. Peggy Mullins, right? Or Mullins, and you can research this in history. Red Hot Beefsteak Club, beef, was added to the name of the tavern. Now, we talked about the beginning. It's important for you to know because they got a marker there in South Front and Sampson Street in Philadelphia to tell you about this place if you're interested. But it should be important to you to understand what is in process when a white man is organizing to go to war. See, he gathers, right? He don't care where he gathers. And it's the most unholy of gatherings, right? These are Quakers. Quakers that did this. Quakers supposed to be holy men, right? Right? I just wanted to bring something to your knowledge. Just want to talk to you a little bit. They're supposed to be holy men doing this. There's nothing holy about the white man. This is what I'm telling you. He don't even respect God the way that you think he does. But he uses God as a source of power and influence. And it's simple to understand. You ever seen somebody who's on drugs and they talk so much about God? Man, if you listen to them, or they're drugging and drinking, they got good religion. They'll talk to you so much about God and how good God is and all of that, and they're still doing the drugs, still manipulating people and all of that. See, this is much like the white man. He don't believe in God. He can give two rat tails about God and who God is. But he'll tell you that. He'll tell you if it's the thing that'll get you off your course. The white man will tell you that. He'll tell you about his faith in God and why he believes in God. And you can't blame him. I'm just trying to tell you that his God is a carefree God and let him do anything. He can kill you, his God will forgive you. He can rob you, his God will forgive you. He can sleep with your wife and rape your children. Guess what? His God will forgive you. Right? He can rape your wife and rape you. And his God will forgive you. His God will forgive him for anything that he does. That's this American white man. And the global white man, right? The European. His God will forgive him. You have to understand that. You have to see, you have to get inside of this. You have to get inside of this. So he has no fear because his God, right, allows him to do anything. His God is going to stand behind him, right? His God, he gave it to you in oppression. And when you listen to his God, slavery was all right. And for him to reproduce you in slavery was all right. For him to rape you in slavery was all right. Rape your husband, that was fine. Rape your children, that's fine too. Rape your daughters, your sons, right? Your fathers, your mothers, your grandparents, that's fine. That's fine. The white man could go and do whatever you want. And it emboldened him, brothers and sisters. This emboldened him because his God told you not to react while his God told him to react. His God told him he could do whatever he wants. And if the black man reacts, you can even spank him. That's his agnostic God. His mental concept of God who will allow him to get away with anything. Won't allow you to get away with anything. Right? Allow him to get away with anything, but won't allow you to get away with anything. That's his God. The interpretation of his God. That's his mindset. If you never challenge a person's interpretation of God, then they have the right in their extremity or their extreme understanding to validate their God, and they will go to any lengths to do it, right? A misunderstanding, right, of a universal moral power. They'll do it. Now, brothers and sisters, what you and I have learned in our caution, spiritually, physically, socially, biologically, psychologically, and otherwise, we've learned to think as the white man wants us to think, to do as the white man wants us to do. The relationship is sick. The relationship between the white man and the black man has been a sick relationship because one was always the oppressor dealing with the oppressed. And it didn't matter what the situation was. You had been trained. It was in your DNA to listen to what this man wanted you to do, or how he wanted you to think, or how he wanted you to talk. Isn't that right? You could get some black people that still have their mindset, and you listen to them today, and those people even talk white. And they say, what is that? What do you mean talking white? I mean, they talk like they're talking through their nose. You know it. You listen to them, and if you turn around and you can't see their face, you'll even think that they're white. Isn't that right? Right? Because these people, when they look at themselves, they think that they're ugly and the white man is beautiful. Even today, it's amazing. Even today, with all the advances and all the leadership you have in the black community, and the misleadership, I should say, the misleadership, and all the entertainers that we see today, the black man still sees the white man as superior. If you look at Jay-Z, Beyonce, the highest paid black person that you could name, entertainer or otherwise, still sees the white man as superior. He still answers to the white man as superior. It doesn't matter who they are. As I was telling people about Tyler Perry. They said, oh, Tyler Perry, he coming out, he's doing his own thing, he's black. Told him, there's no way that a black man can get that far without the white man helping him. And pretty soon, a situation will come out where you'll be able to see what I'm saying and see that the brother is not in error. And what happened? What happened? The minute that Monique stood up, right, was under the fog, she thought that these people would stand up with her. She thought they were stand-up people, that they had guts and backbones. You know how some folks are. Some black folks will talk strong, have you believing it, man. And you believing it, they talking strong and you feeling strong. And the next thing you know, you done stuck your neck out and you start talking strong. And they'll get behind you and cheer you on, right? And you've been and walked in places that they could never get in because you believe it. You have their mindset, right? And you'll be asking, well, how come this stuff didn't happen under you? And you know what they'll tell you? Well, I tell you what, I didn't really believe it until you did it, right? They've been talking to you the whole time, telling you what to do and how to be, but they never believed it. So they'll talk that way in front of you, but the minute they get in front of that white man, they can't say what they feel, or they won't get on the web and say what they feel. It's the truth. It's the truth. I don't think that any white person would debate that we're in the most racist country that has ever been developed by his hands or under his tutelage. And it wasn't developed by him. I should say that. We're under the most racist country that has ever been, how could I say, overtaken by the white man. Because it wasn't developed by him. We developed it. And if we had sense, we would have told him, so we're not going to do anything. You might as well kill us. And he couldn't have got that strong. He couldn't have got that strong. Or overtook the boats and turn around and have massive wars. And Shaka Zulu did this on many occasions. And others did it too. Other leaders, other fighters, Setawayo and all of them, they did it. Queen and Zinga. They fought. But you had a lot of Africans to fight. And I want you to understand that. I don't want to take it away from anyone, especially the Mali Kingdom and the Zulu Kingdom. They were fighting, brothers and sisters. You had some kings in Gambia that were fighting, others that let them in. Right? And that's why I don't hardly trust a Gambian today. A Gambian African, I don't hardly trust him today. Don't hardly trust him. Because Gambians, told you I don't hardly trust them. And you'll find me repeating myself because they're freezing the screen on me. I just want to tell you that. But these Gambians are ready to sell out at any moment. At any moment. And they're not strong. They'll worship the white man. With all this power, you could build up, and I never forget it. We got some that'll stand up, but the majority that won't. I never forget when I was speaking with someone in Gambia toward the African American Defense League. And they were ready and organized and all of that. And you know, here in America, we're organized. Something won't have a dime in our pocket. But we're organized because brothers and sisters are real about it. We're the real revolutionaries here in America. Garvey couldn't have had the power that he had without us, brothers and sisters. I'm just trying to tell you. Marcus Garvey could not have had the power that he had without us. And even when he got the power, he failed in leadership because at some point, he trusted the white man. He trusted him at some point. At some point. Now, you can fight a country, and the country has control of your finances. The country has control of your bank books and all of that. You understand what I'm saying? And I say this because I want you to know with what we have today and how we can control our own currency, what we have today, we could make it in the revolution. Garvey could have made it had he stopped trusting them white folks. Can't trust white people and you going to war with them. Somebody should have told him. But see, he was from a class of black people, right? A class of black people in Haiti, right? Those that were familiar with his tramplings in Trinidad and Tobago, in all of these other revolutionary countries where black peoples were, right? Where the class of people, the mulatto and the mulatto class, then the blood attached to the mulatto, they had certain freedoms and rights as long as they kept you oppressed. You don't hear me. As long as they kept you oppressed, they could do whatever they wanted to. The white man would give them anything. It's only when he started gaining momentum to believe that he could be free and he could free black people that these white people started coming against him. Because they didn't need that in America. See, and you have to understand that before Garvey, some 60 years earlier, they'd had the Haitian Revolution. You got to understand that. You got to understand that. And this Haitian Revolution, brothers and sisters, was very, very important. And there were several levels of the Haitian Revolution, right? Several levels of the Haitian Revolution. You got to understand that. And the one that I'm talking about now, because the first one was in what, 1791, right? Or was it 21st August 1791 to January of 1804, I believe it was. Now that was the first level. Now in this revolution, and that's what we're talking about because we're talking about Black Nationalist Army. So we have to talk about the Haitian Revolution because this was the most successful of all the black revolutions that we had. Now, we could have had the same thing. We could have had the same thing with Delaney. We could have had the very same thing. But we'll talk about that. Talk about that. When they knew that, and this is nothing the white man does, when they knew that we were capable of winning, right? Then they came with some other channel. James Monroe had made Monrovia, this is Liberia, capital of it is Monrovia, thus James Monroe. And they began to toss this idea to Marcus Garvey that he could take people to Libya. Libya has black presidents that came from here. We're going to talk about that a little bit too, because you should know it. But at the same time, America put you in a place where you'll be in constant conflict with African people who were over there that didn't have much. And here America has a satellite country, so to speak, that is pushing all of this wealth toward, right? People living there have gotten wealthy. And if you got people who are wealthy that are black, right, who are seemingly looking down on the Aboriginal people in Liberia that are black, right, and these people are hungry, what are they going to do? They're going to fight to get the wealth and the food of those in power. Is that right? So they have to create a constant conflict. And they set it up. They set it up. Now, even with me and you, you and I could be working together, going to school together, building up a business together, and a white man to come through and say, you know, I like working with you because it's easy to talk to you. I don't like talking to that other guy. And he know what he's doing. He'll drive enmity between you and the other guy by giving you all this stuff. And instead of you having the intelligence to give the other fella some of the stuff that you're receiving, then you keep it all to yourself, which causes a clash. Not only do it cause classism, it causes classism, where one has money and the other one does not. One has opportunity, the other one does not. One has alliance, and the other one does not. And when you create this situation, you'll always create conflict. Now, we talked about Marcus Garvey. We're going to get back there, but I want you to understand that Marcus Garvey was a result of the Haitian Revolution, where there was many different levels of that, from the 1800s all the way down to the 1900s. All the way down to the 1900s. Because remember, the wedge that was drawn between Toussaint Louverture, and we're talking about the rule in Saint Dominique in the Haiti Revolution. There was a wedge drawn between John Baptiste, right, and with Dessalines. And if you haven't done any study on the Haitian Revolution, you should go back to do study on it. Now, because you have to understand exactly what's going on. That the war itself was of no contest, really, because these Haitians knew the terrain and all of that. They knew everything about it. We could talk about the history and the dates and Napoleon and how they defeated Napoleon. He wasn't anybody to defeat because he didn't even hardly know where he was. He couldn't keep money for his rations, and they lived too wealthy to be in war. Right? They depended on the slaves. So the minute the slaves had revolted, everything was over anyway. But not to mention the terrain too, because what was happening in 1793 and 1798, this expedition to Saint Dominique had cost the British and the French about 4 million pounds back then, which is equivalent to at least $100 million today, a billion even. That's a lot of gold. It's a lot of currency, and this currency involved gold. And so 100,000 men that were British and French. They said just the British, but the French was fighting too. They were behind all of it. They were trying to save the slave port. See, because that was France's end, right? That was France's investment or France's stock. Haiti was inside of a global plan for slavery and the enslaving of black people. You have to understand that. When you look at slavery, you got to look at slavery as a global phenomenon. Not just a national phenomenon, a global phenomenon. You have to look at slavery that way. Now, say that I said this. Between 1793 and 1798, they spent over 400 million pounds. Right? 4 million pounds. 4 million pounds. They lost 100,000 men to either death, permanently disablement, or from the effects of malaria, right, and yellow fever, okay, because of the terrain. you'll be surprised how well you know this terrain and how little the white man knows about it. In America, in Africa, in Europe, wherever you are, you know the terrain a lot better because you were a part of that terrain. You've been dealing in the terrain, and you can wield that terrain a lot better than a white man. If it's better for me to say you can survive and adjust in it better than the white man can, you have to understand that. Because we're talking black nationalism, black armies, right? We can have black economics. We can have black businesses. We can have black banks. We can have black lending institutions. But brothers and sisters, if we don't have an army, we won't control it. Look at the white man. Why do you think he has armies? Why do you think he has armed occupiers, which are police, in whatever state, nation you go to, right? And all of them are complicit. Every last one of them are complicit with the federal government. There are different levels of the federal government. You have to understand that. And these levels are put in place for you and I and against you and I. Now, Toussaint Louverture, remember we're talking about him. Toussaint Louverture, we're talking about John Baptiste. We're talking about Dessalines, right? Talking about all these guys. I want you to have some good understanding of what's going on. That after the departure of the British, Toussaint turned his attention to Rigaud, who was conspiring against him in the south of Saint Dominique, right? This is 1799. We're getting close to 1804 and 1803, right? What happens in Louisiana, who was also a French colony at that time, right? A French colony of France. What happens in Louisiana and Arkansas and certain parts of Missouri and Oklahoma, right? What happens? I tell you what happens. While they're entering this initiated war, right? They call it the War of Knives. While Toussaint Louverture, right, is initiating this instrument of war, or they're in it against Toussaint's rule. They're in it. They're in this war. After he turned his attention to Rigaud, this is after he consolidates control. After the British had died, the French, they were winning over the French. Now they had to fight to get the country. First they were fighting for independence. Now they got to fight to control the country. Now, this is Haiti. I want you to understand, it's very important, that in America was also part of the French colony. You had Louisiana, you had Arkansas, you had Kansas, you had Oklahoma, you had certain parts of Missouri, right, that were going through what they call the Louisiana Purchase. Napoleon and the French had sold America these places for money to get back into the war. I just want you to understand that. So because after the British departed, Toussaint Louverture, right? Louverture. Toussaint had taken his attention, right, to the Rigaud, who was conspiring against him, right, in the south of Saint Dominique. And in 1799, Rigaud initiated the War of Knives against Toussaint's rule. He sent a brutal offensive to Petit Goave, right, which is one of the places, and Grand Goave, right. Now these places, Petit was a common coastal commune, right. It was in the Department of Haiti. It's located about 68 kilometers, about 42 miles southwest of the Port-au-Prince. So about 42 miles. And the town has a population today of about 12,000 inhabitants. Back then, it was a massive inhabitants of people, right? Look, they took no prisoners, right? Rigaud predominantly, listen, Rigaud had a predominantly mulatto forces, right? Put blacks and whites to the sword. Listen to me. That's what I tell you about the white man when he integrates. when he create somebody mixed, understand this. Most of the time, they're going to go, right, with their white counterparts because they're always trying to win their white counterparts. Remember I told you, Marcus Garvey, he was a part of the mulatto regime, right? His bloodline, he bathed in that. His bloodline was a part of the mulatto regime. So he at some point had trusted the whites at the top level, who eventually what? Put him in prison for debt. Isn't that right? Now how the hell are they going to put you in prison for debt? You raising up black people, right? In the UINA, right? You raising up black people. But his mind was still colonized at some point, some level. Excuse me. He tried to raise up an army in Haiti, tried to raise up an army in St. Dominique. He tried to raise up an army in Barbados, all of these places. He didn't raise up an army. He couldn't. He comes to America, and he could raise one up. Why? Because the blacks in America really are serious about revolution. See, we're serious about it. And the white man knows it. That's why he keeps sending these fake revolutionaries in front of you. He knows it. To stop you from building a real revolutionary army. He stops you from doing it. He'll bring hecklers in. He'll bring anybody that's going to distort you, even in religion. Even in religion. Anybody that's going to get you off track. So regard predominantly mulatto forces put blacks and whites to the sword. Through the United States, listen to this. The United States was hostile toward the Sun. The U.S. Navy agreed to support, listen to this. See, when you fight, you leave a man no choice. The United States agreed to support the Sun's forces, right, with frigate. You remember USS General Green. This is one of their prize ships, commanded by Captain Christopher Perry, providing fire support to blacks as Toussaint laid siege to Jacmel. Now, what was Jacmel? And we're gonna get back on to where we are. Jacmel is a commune in southern Haiti, founded by the Spanish. Listen, the Spanish. Remember we said it. That slavery was a global organization, Western global power structure. Where's the West? The West is considered England. Where's the true East? Africa? If the true East is in Africa, right, and the West is in England, then they've already put themselves against you. Now, under the West, this system of slavery started from 1397 to 1492 in the Kerfol Conference. They agreed, the Englanders agreed, we're not going to fight each other anymore because they were killing one another. Every time you turn around, you had white folks killing each other in every kingdom, right? And they looked at us, we getting along, growing in wealth. They said, wait. We can't do this no more. So in 300,000 BC, they moved against you in the Platonic War. This is how long you've been fighting that white man. Don't never let them tell you about 1,000 or 3,000 years or 7,000 years. You can go all the way back. You've been fighting this devil because he literally needed you to survive. And at one time, he was eating your flesh. And you can research this in history and find it. He's called the caveman because he built his castles out of rock and carved his castles. Carved his castles out of rock because he would not come out. When the Africans designed this, they designed it as a fortress. But this is not where they live. This was considered a keep, a stronghold. The white man, when he built it and lived in it. It wasn't made for living. It wasn't made for living. So our people, all the prophets, all the priests tried to civilize this man and still hasn't succeeded in civilizing him. Hasn't succeeded. Now, Jacmel is a commune in southern Haiti. It was built in 1504. It was repopulated by the French in 1698. And it's the capital of the Department Sud-East, I think it is. Sud-Est. And 24 miles from Port-au-Prince, see, Port-au-Prince, a key area, to Burin Peninsula, right? And has an estimated population today of about 40,000 people. But back then, that was close to 1 million people. People were populating. They didn't have the abortion clinics that they have there today. They didn't have doctors killing babies, right, or letting them starve or poisoning the water and things like that. Haiti is going through because of them standing up. But they stood up and they wanted, once they got there, they wanted to play government with the same people they went to war with, listening to them. They didn't have to pay any taxes or anything like that. They didn't have to do it. They could have kept going to war. And eventually the white man would have left them alone, and they would have been able to take their products and sell them to anybody else. See? They wouldn't have been able to do it. And America was ready to establish trade. This is the reason that they bagged up to Saint-Lay over Chore. They were ready to bag them up and trade. If you and I was to organize our army, right, Black Nationalist Army, because we got some militias, but we don't have an army yet. We have some amazing militias, some that will eat your heart out, eat mine out, but we don't have an army yet. We won't have an army until we build a united Black front, a real united Black front, where we're able to stand toward the rules and not have to worry about any Benedicts among us. But I just want to tell you about Jacmel because that's very important. So this guy, Regard, held by mulatto forces, right? Jacmel was held by mulatto forces under the command of Regard. And the United States, brothers and sisters, Regard ties to France, listen to this, represented a threat to American commerce. The United States Regard ties to France. America was making money all over, right? They gonna support whoever's gonna help them win, and that way, whoever wins, they say, "Hey, you remember I supported you." So you got to give these devils some credit. They've been in this a long time, and what you don't understand is the minute you stand up, the investors in the market will support you. They're gonna support whoever's there. Their whole objective is to make money and to continue on. Continue the system, right? To continue their system. And they can't control your system if they depend on you to continue their system. You have to understand that. That's why you have the ability, if we organize and have a Black Nationalist army, I mean a real army, I have the ability to control what's going on. Last thing I want to tell you is this, and then we're going to start talking about building the foundation of a Black Nationalist Army. That on the 11th of March, the 1800s, remember I told you what was happening in Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma. Remember what I told you before. Toussaint took Jacmel, and Regard fled to the French schooner La Diana, right? The schooner, his place of refuge. And Toussaint had maintained that he was still loyal to France, but he had some sense. To all intents and purposes, he ruled Saint Dominique as a dictator. And he was right. He was right because he had to put himself in a place to keep coons like the one he was fighting in their place and to be able to run things from his leadership, to keep control of what was going on under his leadership. Now, since they saw these three powerful men, you had Toussaint Louverture, John Baptiste, right? You had Dessalines, right? And Dessalines himself just declared himself an emperor. Because France, you know how the white man does. I told you that he'll tell you that you're doing good, tell me that I'm doing good, put us against one another. We're busy attacking one another. He's getting money from both sides. So they took Dessalines and said, look, you got Toussaint Louverture and Jean Baptiste. We can't support all of you. We just have to pick one person we can support. So, Dessalines, then the demon he was, went along with that white man and killed his brothers. There's a point to this, brothers and sisters. You get in the Black Nationalist Army, you're going to have to get in that army and know that you're going to have to stand and support your brothers and sisters. There's no way around it. You won't win. We can't win knowing that there are Judases in the camp. You have to be able to make a decision, and you got to make that decision now that you are willing to fight to save the life of your family, fight to save the life of your kin, fight to save the life of anybody that's dear to you. Anybody that's dear to you. This will be a fight for your life. And somebody is saying right now, well, brother, we really don't want to go into no race war. Well, hell, you're already in a race war. Whether you want to go into it or not is immaterial. You're already in the race war. You're already there. So the question is, will you fight to save your life? That's the question. Or will you let this white man come in and keep killing you? See, every time he kills one person, he's killing us. So you need to see race the same way the white man does. You could have a white vigilante and a white serial killer. And the white man will know that he's a serial killer. But he won't do anything to take his life because he needs him in the war to come. He actually needs him in the war to come. Our sister has chimed in. Peace and greetings, Goddess Nanu. She said we're playing checkers, not chess. She said we're playing checkers, not chess. And that's true. That's true. And this is why, brothers and sisters, when you got people that are out organizing, really organizing, they're not going to be wasting their time marching out in front of them devils, showing them how many soldiers they got. It don't take that many. You could have 6 men could turn a whole city out. You could have 12 to turn out an entire state. It doesn't take that many. And when that time comes, brothers and sisters, that time comes, you and I will have to resort to a guerrilla warfare. That'll be the only thing that we could resort to is a guerrilla warfare, because nothing else will last. You can't fight a war. Fighting a war with the white man's rules. You can't do it. And all I'm telling you is that you're getting there every day. All you got to do is look and see black people. You don't have to guide any black people to do anything wrong. You don't have to guide them to initiate anything. All you have to do is watch. And every time you turn on TikTok, every time you turn on Facebook, every time you turn on LinkedIn or any of the social medias, on CNN and ABC and CBS, MSN, you'll find, brothers and sisters, that people are just losing it everywhere. Black people have had it. They've had enough. And the president on down, they know it. White people from the highest office and black coons from the highest office on down, they know it. They know that the black man has had enough. I watched a man on national internet. I hesitate to say television because I know we don't have traditional television anymore. But I saw a black man on national internet, brothers and sisters. National internet. A man, he was working at a Wendy's, I believe it was. And a white man began to complain about the service and complain about the food. And I don't know what that brother was going through, but it was something serious. Because the brother jumped over the counter and hit the man one time. Gave him it looked like a right cross. That's what it looked like. It looked like a right cross. Because in that cross, you're doubling up. You don't have to throw that left. All you have to do is hit and downward. And when he did that, that man died. So the brother now is dealing with the system on that. And you look at him, you don't know what happened. You don't know what came over him. It's the fact that black people are tired of being pushed. That's why in the research manic aggressive personality disorder, it says that the last phase of the black man is that he will begin to embrace this beast in him. He can't control it. You can find the most peaceful black man in your life that's ever dealt with anybody white, and you'll find out that the mere relationship had changed them. Am I pushing racism? I'm not. I'm telling you that America is racist. This is one of the most racist nation that we've ever been involved with as black people. The most racist. They talk about Russia. Russia ain't got nothing on America, brothers and sisters. Is that right? Russia ain't got nothing on America. And proof of which, you don't find any Russians setting up any satellites in America, but you find America setting up satellites in Russia, right? And they're shrewd about it. They'll put Brittany Griner in a position where she's over there to try to get you and I to hate the Russian. That's the whole game. You got to know that. They'll put you and I in a position where we will hate the Russian because the Russian is holding Brittany Griner because she brought illegal drugs inside of Russia. She brought illegal drugs inside of Russia. She been playing ball. This man then gave her a job, right? Then her job as an athlete is to stay clean. Is that right or wrong? And she's going to bring some cannabis oil, which Russia has a no drug policy, but yet she's going to bring cannabis oil over there, giving it to people and selling it. You become a drug dealer. But they made sure that they grabbed some black, coonish, ignorant sister, right? With all of this LGBTQ nonsense, because that's what it is. That's what it is. When you begin to parade like a peacock, you can have the rights to do whatever you want. You're in America. You can do whatever you want. The only one that don't have any rights is black people, right? But you have some black tokens among the LGBTQ, right, that believe that they have rights. They believe it. Right? But we know better. If you black, you don't have any rights. If you black, you're not a Democrat. If you're black, you're not a Republican, right? If you're black, you're not even American. And the only difference that separates someone else from me is that I got sense enough to know it. That way, that's why whenever I see black people in the Democratic Party, I laugh, right? Use them like they use you. I don't have any problem with anybody that got some sense and try to use somebody that's using them. When you go to believe in it, that's what I have the problem with. I mean, I don't get it. Brothers and sisters. They're showing us every day, the white man is showing us that he can't be trusted. And every day, you and I, our brothers and sisters, right? When I say you and I, I'm not talking about necessarily you or me, but I'm using a vernacular to unite all brothers and sisters. When we see this, we don't pay attention to it and we fall into the very same trap. Yeah, I used to be used by that devil. Yes. I was the dumbest, was as dumb as they come when I joined the military. Even breaking through, you have to have some knowledge because look at black veterans today. They're the most unemployed, the most and highest homeless population, the highest VA patient population that are having the effects of opioids, not getting any help. I'm just being honest. And veterans in general are not getting the help that they should get from the federal government. And I can tell you, see, the hindsight is 2020. But when you learn better, you do better, brothers and sisters. We all make mistakes. We'll make mistakes, but when you learn better, you do better. We need an active army in all 53 states. We have representatives in all 53 states. We even have branches in all 53 states, but we only have strength in 13 states. I don't mind saying this because I don't have to say what the states are. I don't have to say what the states are. But out of these 13 states, right, that we have the strength in, we have adjacent states to those, about 12 adjacent states that are half strengthened. When we say half strength, that means we've got population almost in every city within those states. But we don't have a fully active 25 states. We got a fully active 13 states. We don't have a fully active 25 states. So we don't even have, in all of this time, and I'll tell you why. In all of this time, we don't even have as many active people in the African American Defense League or the New Black Panther Party or whoever else, but especially the African American Defense League. We don't have the amount of people that we could have. Why? Because black people don't even know that they're in bondage. I'm reminded of what Harriet Tubman said. She said, I could have saved more had they knew they were slaves. You got black brothers and sisters running around here now acting free, right? And don't even know that there's a bunch of self-hate. They're gluing they have these new glue-on wigs. Is that right, brothers and sisters? And you look at these wigs, the brothers be like, oh man, she look dope. Nah, brother, that's her real hair and all of that. And the sister, when she take that stuff off her head, she's ripping out her sideburns and her hairline and everything. And it's sad to see those sisters destroy themselves and hate themselves so much that they'll put them wigs in their head. Don't you know that that's self-hate? I'm talking about a Black Nationalist Army, right? And we got to build up self-esteem for the Black Nationalist Army. Sisters, stop wearing that stuff on your head. It's better for you to cut your hair off. It's better for you to cut your hair completely off than to let that glue rip your hair out. We got brothers that won't be able to really fight a war because their hair is too long. Come on, brothers and sisters. Right? We got brothers with dreadlocks that make them look feminine. Isn't that right? So we've got a job to do. We got a job to do, brothers and sisters. We got a job to do. I'm not asking you to have a bald head like mine. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not asking you to have a clean face. I don't have a clean shave today because this is another 4-hour shadow. But all I'm asking you to do is realize where you are, realize what's going on, and realize that you're in the war. And there are too many that are, at this point, that are resting in battle zones. That's what I want to tell you, brothers and sisters. I'm not going to hold you any longer. I appreciate the time that you've given me to be able to talk to you. Brothers and sisters, don't forget to support the channel. We need your support. Don't forget, we have books. We have products that you can buy. We have products. Now we're able to put them bean pies in jars and send it right to you overnight, cold. So you can get it and spread it out, right? And be able to have bean pies. We can do that. Give you the crust and all that. So we've come a long ways, brothers and sisters. We've come a long ways. We got whatever product you need. Whatever product you need. Toothpaste, toothbrushes. We have candy bars. Support our home education program. If you don't want to buy a book, you don't have to buy a book, we understand. Cash app us. Whatever you think you can cash app us. Tell somebody about us. Get on the show. Tell somebody about us. Let's teach this thing together. You research while we researching, so we can keep this thing together. We want brothers and sisters that are active. We don't want zombies. I know what it is to be a zombie. I was a zombie. I was a zombie before. I know what it is to be a zombie. We don't want any zombies. We want you to help us teach this thing. We want you to help us stand in the gap and help deliver black people, brothers and sisters. That's what we want. That's what we want. We don't teach racism. We teach common sense, plain common sense. We tell you to defend yourself. That's all. Don't look at me strange because I'm telling you that you need to have a black nationalist army. While the white man has a white nationalist army, the white man has the police. The white man has the Ku Klux Klan. The white man has the Aryan Nation. The white man has the Nazi. Isn't that right? He has all these things. It's you and I that don't have anything to defend us. We don't have anybody to defend us. We don't have an organization to defend us. And we need that. We can't do it. Many of those that are out there can't do it without your support. And we need security. We got to. It's because Sister Ava didn't have security that she was assassinated just a few days ago. Isn't that right? About 5 or 6 days ago, our sister was assassinated. Right? Because she didn't have the security that she needed. I'm just being realistic to you with your brothers and sisters. I want you to stand, be steadfast and unmovable, always abounding in the work that God has given us. God has called you and I to bring ourselves out. There's no Jesus coming in the sky to deliver us. Brothers and sisters, we got to wake up. We got to be wise. Jesus is not breaking through the clouds to deliver us. This is a lie that was told by the white man to our forefathers. Isn't that right? They were in bondage. They're listening to the man that is oppressing them, right? Give the knowledge to the oppressed. Isn't that right? The man that was in charge of them, the same man that was beating them, right? He taught them the message that they have today, which was to get them to be submissive and to be docile. Brothers and sisters, we got to be wiser than that. We got to be wiser than that. So all praises be to God, Allah, you can say Jesus, whoever you want, because we bear witness there's only one God. He had many messengers, and Muhammad is his messenger too. And so these brothers and sisters, during that time, during that period, these brothers and sisters, right? They didn't have what we have today. Our slave forefathers didn't have what we have today, right? But we have the intelligence, we have the ability, and we have the technology to be free, brothers and sisters. And even without what we have today, without the technology, without the ability, without the advances in science, our brothers and sisters were getting their freedom more so than we are today because they was willing to die for it. They were willing to die for it. So brothers and sisters, please, we ask you to think about us, to remember us, right? As the night goes on and to bless us. And I'll see you again in another 49 minutes to talk about the next show. Brothers and sisters, be encouraged. And if I didn't say it in the beginning, I say it unto you now. Peace be unto you. And assalamu alaikum.